All right, I took a little side trip on my trip to Dallas this November, and I went through Navajo country, specifically the Navajo Nation. And this is me driving into it. Couple peculiar things when I entered the area of Navajo Nation, which encompasses huge amount of landmass, including parts of New Mexico and Arizona, was that my Verizon cell phone stopped working. And I was using that to stream music and podcasts and stuff I'd listened to on the speakers in the car. And then I said, okay, I'll just turn my cell phone off and turn on the radio and listen to some tunes on the radio. And I tried FM. There was no FM radio stations at all. I searched that. And then I went to AM. There was 3 AM stations, but all 3 of them were broadcast. The DJ or the talk show or whatever was in the Navajo tongue. There was no English. It was really funny. I got used to that. It was kind of fun listening to them speak and then trying to figure out what they were saying. And the only thing that came out in English was the commercials, because I guess the guys that had the businesses that advertised on the radio station were English speaking, and they sold it that way. But it was all Navajo. The other strange thing on these roads I'm driving on now, you're looking at, there are signs when I took off at 160, which was a major U.S. 160 was a major highway, and these other ones are minor U.S. highways. They're still U.S. highways. They're paved 2 lanes, but there's signs, big signs when you take it off. There's no patrol, and there's no snow removal. And this is snow country here. It hadn't snowed yet. I've been told it usually snows by now. And I was in there in November. But that gave me kind of a creepy feeling, knowing if I broke down, I didn't have a cell phone, and there's no police or nothing. So kind of like you're on your own. But on the other hand, people were real friendly, very warm, and I didn't have any problem there. So. And I'm on my way to the Chelly Canyon, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Okay, this is my second time to visit the Chelly Canyon, and one of the principal reasons is a dog. I'm stopped at a gas station now, and you're looking at stray dogs. But the story was, I pulled into this gas station when I was going there the first time, and it was a pretty busy gas station. There was this one dog, and he looked at me, and he came up to me, and he was looking at me as if to say, help me. And he looked hungry, so I got the cooler out in the back that I had. I have sandwich meat, cheese, and all kinds of stuff dogs would like. So I gave him that, and I felt bad because I had to leave. And it really bothered me because I really like dogs. And I said to myself, you know what? And I told my son this when I called him up later. I said, you know, I went to Dallas, but I'm coming back, and I'm going to come back here, not just to see the artist, which I did, but I said, I'm going to come back to that gas station, and if that dog's there, I'm taking him home. So I get to the gas station, and I figured out which one it was. And instead of one dog, there must have been 8 dogs there wandering around loose. And if you look at the dogs, they're not starving. You know, I've seen dogs that were starving, emaciated. So somebody's giving them some food, not a hell of a lot. And I presume they don't have any animal control in Navajo, the Navajo Nation there. So the animals and dogs just wander around as long as they don't cause any problem. They're wandering around like a wild animal and living off humans. But it's kind of sad. And anyway, there is a lot of poverty in the Navajo Nation. Motor on to the canyon we go. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation is also known as the Bakaya Dine country in their language. And it's a sovereign tribal nation within the United States. It's sovereign, so that's why things are a little strange there when you go in there. And I had that feeling too when I was there, that I was in a different country. Things were a lot different. Like when you went into the stores, like a gas station and a general store, it all had Buy Navajo Nation, and it had signs in it, and it was all really promoting and keeping business in their community, not elsewhere. So there was a real sense of tribalism there in a good way. And let's see, it's like I said, it's a sovereign tribal nation. It has its own government, laws, and cultural identity. And it is the largest federally recognized tribe in the U.S., with almost 400,000 enrolled members as of 2021. It encompasses over 27,000 square miles. That's over 70,000 square kilometers of land in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, making it larger than 10 U.S. states. Larger than 10 U.S. states. It's incredible how big it is. And the territory spans parts of northeastern Arizona, northwestern New Mexico, and southeastern Utah. And the capital is Window Rock, Arizona. And I noticed that when I think about there was a police car, and it was Navajo Nation on it. It wasn't Arizona Highway Patrol or anything like that. You were in your own little world there, which I don't know if many people know about this. When did it start? The Navajo people have inhabited the region for centuries with their own complex history and traditions. The formal establishment of the Navajo Nation came with the Treaty of Fort Sumner in 1868, which ended a period of forced relocation and established a reservation. However, the Navajo Nation's sovereignty and self-determination are ongoing processes, with continuous efforts to reclaim their cultural heritage and strengthen their governing structures. The Navajo language, Dine Bazad, I think it's called, Dine Bazan, is one of the most widely spoken Native American languages in the U.S. The Navajo, and that language, I think, was the Navajo Code Talkers, which became very famous in World War II, and there was a movie about it. It was an unbreakable language code. And there is a site there. One of the towns I drove through was a museum about that. The Navajo Nation boasts stunning landscapes also, including Monument Valley, the Canyon de Chelly, which we're going to visit, and other popular tourist destinations. And if you look, we're driving here on the roads, it's just spectacular. You drive along and it's flat, and then all of a sudden there's these incredible rock structures there that are really amazing. And the Navajo Nation has a diverse economy. It has sectors like ranching, mining, tourism, of course, renewable energy also. And again, mentioning the code talkers, they take a lot of pride in that. But anyway, it was a very interesting visit. Okay, let's talk about Canyon de Chelly National Monument and Park, which we're about to visit. It's in, as I am right now, in northeast Arizona. It's a vast park encompassing the floors and rims of three major canyons, de Chelly, del Muerto, and the Monument. It's on a Navajo tribal lands and is home to the Navajo people who have lived there for thousands of years. The park is known for its stunning scenery, including towering sandstone cliffs, ruins of ancient Puebloan dwellings, and the iconic Spider Rock Spire. Visitors can enjoy hiking, uh, scenic drives, camping, and horseback riding, as well as learn about the rich history of the culture of the Navajo Nation. Okay, what you're looking at there is the visitor center. And from there, you will get maps and you can go in two different routes visiting the various canyons. And that's an old dwelling, I believe, of the Navajo. Regarding the history and culture, the ancestral Puebloans, the canyon was home to them, and they were formerly known as the Anasazi from around 380 to 1300 AD. They built cliff dwellings and farmed the canyon floor, leaving behind a rich archaeological legacy. Regarding the Navajo Nation, the Navajo people have lived in the Canyon de Chelly for centuries, presumably after the Anasazi, long after. And the canyon is considered sacred to them. They continue to live and work in the canyon today, raising sheep and farming the land. The canyon walls are made of eroded sandstone, creating towering cliffs that reach up to 1,000 feet in height. The most famous rock formation is Spider Rock, an 850-foot tall spire that dominates the landscape. The canyon floors are lush with vegetation thanks to springs which seep and provide water. Cottonwood trees, junipers, and wildflowers thrive in this sheltered environment. There's two paved rim drives, the North Rim and South Rim Drive, which both offer stunning views of the canyons without having to hike. And the best time to visit is in the spring and fall when the weather is mild, and definitely before the snow. Okay, now let's look at and chat with some of the artists, the Navajo artists that are selling their art there at the canyon. Go ahead. You're
My
on.
name is Antonio Marquero from Canyon Duche. I am Diné, meaning Navajo. Navajo was given to us by Spaniards. In real life, our canyon is called Canyon de Chelly, also named by Spaniards. And our true name for our canyon, we call it Tse Yit. One word for rock, Tse, rock. And all I added was Yit within the canyon. Today I'm going to explain to you about pictographs and picture cliffs. These are ways of communication in the ancient days, my grandma says. You just don't copy anything because you're just an artist. Why not teach history? A long time ago, my grandma said, war and revolt because there was no speakers. Here you got great gatherers to the third world. Anasazi, Hopi people lived around 200 to 1100 AD. They're the ones that guided us back out from the third world with one corn seed. This whole place was flooded, my grandma says, and people went into the earth. There was no way out. So the ant people, Hopi people, had one corn seed. Water receded, and that seed grew out, and that's where we followed the roots back into the fourth world. Orion's belt, navigation. Today we call it stars. Ancient days, they had deities. We have a place called Spider Rock up this way. There was a giant Lephaninis that had 6 arms, and that was a real person too. And there's another history to that. I'll get that later. 4 sacred mountains. Today we call it the Four Corners. Grandma says Sazi people, they were expanding hundreds of miles away from each other. They built ruins, Canyon de Chelly, Provo Utah's canyon, all the way back to Chaco. They had a trading route. So why did Sazi people 8 to 9 kivas? Kivas were used for ceremonial. So when people walked 100 miles, they would spend the night at the Sazi's house, and they had their own religion, so they would sit in their own kivas. Roadrunners, healing and blessing, shaman, medicine man. Today we call them healers or doctors. Why do we call it White House? That's English version. Today we call it Kikinaoke, the runes that was put in the cave that was plastered white, where you find your doctors. And then River of Life, Canyon de Chelly or de Chelly, but we don't call it that. Earlier I mentioned we call it Sayit, River of Life, and Rock Climber. That's the one me and my grandpa and my brothers used to get in trouble. Horse or Jake, my grandma says, where you guys going? We'll check on the horse in the land of corn. We take shortcuts instead of walking down the Wild Trail. It's very dangerous using the Anasazi bullholes. Life and history of Sazi people. Antonio Carroll from White House Roots. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Here's another artist who is showing me his artwork. Your art, what you did.
From Canyon de Chelly, I am Diné, meaning Navajo. Our true name is Diné, meaning the people. We're all brothers and sisters, my grandma says. We're all one of a kind. It doesn't matter what kind of skin color you are. If we can all work together and share enthusiasm, many things can happen, my grandma said. Unfortunately for her, she only spoke Navajo. All I did was explain in English. Thank you.
Okay. Do that. Establish.
Well, you'll read that sign right now. The next overlook is called Junction Overlook. You're going to read that sign. I'll tell you Roosevelt is the one that...
Oh, Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt.
And guess what? Another thing my grandma told me was, guess where the United States got the uranium for the nuclear bomb that killed Japanese?
Where?
Arcadia.
Right here?
Yep. And my grandma said that's why they have the government establish it. Real life, I try to work with everybody. There's always something or somebody will say, discriminate like that. In my mind, my grandma always says, that's why you're an artist. That's why you got to change the world by teaching. Most people won't teach. Most people won't talk. Half of the Navajos I know, they won't say anything because they're very, confidential. But what I do through my work is to show people around the world, even my own Diné people, my kids or anybody's Diné people kids. I want them to get inspired and get motivated. I went to 9th grade, dropped out, became a single parent. And to this day, I like it when even when Navajos buy off me, I get so happy.
Yeah.
I get super happy.
Now these lands, I drove up here on 191. That's Navajo. That's part of a reservation of the Navajo, or
where did you drive from?
From Highway 91, from 40, 191.
Where's that?
Highway. It went up from Interstate 40.
What's the town's name?
I went through Ganado.
Oh yeah, that's a reservation. Our capital is Winter Rock.
Okay.
Ganado is right here. You came in from this side. It's a meadow. You go all the way to Winter Rock and then to Chelly.
And this land, the Indian Nation all owns, right? It's your reservation.
Yes.
So how do you? I've noticed sometimes there's houses there.
Like here?
Yeah. Oh, how do you do that if it's all Indian land? Do you sell it or do you buy it to build a house?
We're already living here, generation passed down. But when the government established here, they give us the portions of land, especially inside the canyon. Here, it's different. The government has no say-so to us. All these houses, their own land. They have their own. Me, I built my own house, got my own land.
You own the land.
Yeah. But in the canyon, it's different. There, we work with the government. So you see my land in the canyon is awesome. And this is all my relatives, my auntie and brothers. This White House turned on right, it's closed off. You'll see the big brick right there. It's been there since COVID. And that's why I had to walk down to the first one. Every day I walk down. My house is right there.
Okay.
These are all my relatives right here.
Okay.
And as you can see, there's a Jeep here. That's an authorized guide walking on a tourist down the canyon because that's an authorized guide. You always got to walk down with an authorized guide or somebody like me that owns the land.
Okay.
And we have to sign you in no matter what for your safety.
Well, I'll have to come back here.
You got to. Once you know where I live, you can pull up anytime you want.
Yeah, I want to take a video.
My family's beautiful.
Look at the video here, and it'll give me an idea where you're at.
You just down this hill, you can see my house. I'm going to take a right after that. You pass White House, turn off. About half a mile up this way, you go down the hill.
Now, do you talk with the other artists also that work here?
I talk to every artist. I work with artists.
Okay.
And if you look to your right over here, you'll see my big house over here. You see that red roof, the blue house?
Okay.
That's my house.
Okay, so
I'm going to take a right.
Take a right up there, okay.
This is my land, my home. My dad, I never met. My mom was a single parent like I, and she worked at Thunderbird Lodge as the head cook. And my dad died from what he loved to be. He was a bull rider, and the bull killed him in front of my mom.
A bull rider?
Yeah, he was
in a rodeo?
Yeah, in a rodeo. In front of my mom. It was in my mom's stomach. That's why I have the same name as him. And he was pure Navajo too. So. And he died, and I was still in my mom's stomach. So my mom says to me, I don't want you on.
And so the conversation ended, and I had a good time on both my visits there. I made some friends, and look forward to going back there. And this is a beautiful sunset, late afternoon as I was leaving, going back to Upper Arizona and towards the north section of the Grand Canyon, which I would arrive at later that night. Anyway, it was a beautiful trip, and the scenery was just fantastic.
The first ruins you can see here at the overlook. Pretty much all these symbols are down by the site, and pretty much different parts of the canyon as well. The symbols here represent like a shaman medicine man. He's collecting corn pollen, and in our tradition we use corn pollen to offer our prayers. Handprints is how they wrote their names. The flute player is Kokopelli. The zigzag lines represent the water that flows out of the canyon there. Potteries are artifacts found inside the ruins there. And corn is one of the main crops grown in the canyon there. And it's done on the sandstone coming from here. It's all painted with acrylic paint. The lighter symbols here are carved. And I just pretty much do the carvings with the homemade tool I have.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're pretty much
Okay, gotcha.
the White House ruins is the next overlook here.
Uh-huh.
The same symbols that are below it are down by the site still to this day.
Uh-huh.
Spider Rock, Anasazi pottery, Mummy Cave ruins, White House, and then the rest of the symbols, like the ones that are the lighter ones here, are all carved. And pretty much the paintings they represent like first ruins again, junction ruins. And
Did you sign them in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You got a chance to go into the canyon yet?
No, I haven't gone into it. I have got a bad foot, so can't walk too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of lame right now.
Yeah, pretty much these are what you will see like if you take a jeep tour or hike down any trails, but yeah, pretty much
Yeah, I understand it snows here a lot.
yeah.
Hasn't snowed yet though, huh?
Yep. No, it's probably gonna snow pretty soon. It's getting cold.
Yeah, I gotta get back.
Yeah, my grandmother owns land in the canyon here at White House,
Uh-huh.
and on her land there's a cave full of carvings and paintings, and that's where I copied most of these symbols from. And the stone, just pick them up from around here. Like these ones, the yellow ones here are coming out of the riverbeds,
Uh-huh.
and pretty much the river smooths out one side of the rock, which makes the natural background, and then the rough part here in the back is where it sticks to the ground.
Wow. And you get it out of the ground just like that?
Yeah.
You don't have to chip out the back and make it smooth?
No.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. All right. What are you making this time?
This is called an antelope. You can see the symbol of the north bend of the antelope room. This right here represents the corn and the spiral of the echo. If you yell in the canyon, you can hear your own echo. This one here is the pottery, the Anasazi pottery design. This one's spider up. The last overlook, if you're going up that way,
Uh-huh.
in south room, the spider up. All these symbols, the petrograph, you can see them all over inside the canyon. This one's the junction room. This room is located down here on the wall. Junction room. That one's the antelope. The petrograph is the antelope. The spiral right here in the back that represents the echo. If you yell in the canyon, you can hear your own echo. This one's the compass. The ancient triple known as the Anasazi, the moon and the stars, the zigzag represents the water that runs inside the canyon. And the junction room with the Anasazi pottery. Right here is the antelope and the corn and the echo. Right here you can see the corn pollen and the roots of the corn.
Okay.
Right here you got the Anasazi pottery with the Anasazi pottery design. The junction room. There's a spider up right here. That's overlook. This one here got some hummingbird and the Anasazi pottery. So I'm gonna paint some hummingbirds on
Yeah.
that.
Pretty.
Yeah, it's supposed to carry them back to back.
Okay.